Let's go.
What is going on, everybody? Jen Johnson here again as we do another episode of the Turn Purpose to Profit Summit series. And I am just so excited because we have one of my favorite people on the planet here with us today. And, really the idea behind this series is just to educate and empower you on how to build a profitable business by design, incorporating faith, passion, and purpose. And, we might even throw a little bit of the marketing strategies in there and things like that. But the important thing is that as a Christian, I know for me, for so long, I was told to separate everything and keep God over here and my business over here. I did that for a very long time, and it just didn't work for me. And when I started to mold and merge the two together, things started to make a big shift for me. And I have a lot of friends and experts who are going to be on this show talking about what that was like for them and how you can start to do that in your own business. So today I have Mr. Mark HARBERT here with us, and he has such a powerful, incredible story. I know the thing I always remember about you, Mark, is you had $6 to your name when you started your business. And I just think it's such a powerful story to share. So why don't you just give a little bit of background on you and what you're all about?
Well, first, thanks for having me out. And you're one of my favorite people in the world. Jen is awesome. And actually, I had $7. I had $1 more.
I gave you $1 less. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Actually, it was like $7.40 or something if you want to get to
all right.
But no, I mean, my story was, was really unique in the fact that at the time I was actually living down in Chile, and I was doing like some kind of freelance work and wasn't really making a lot of money, but it was enough to pay the bills. And my biggest thing was one day I just, didn't have a lot of money in the bank, and we had $7 in my PayPal account. And the way we did things when we lived in Chile is we had to go to the ATM and pull out money,
Oh, wow. What a time.
It was kind of getting a bank account was real tough down there. So I just, lived out of my US bank account. And so I had $7. I couldn't even pull the $7 out because you had to have at least a certain amount in there because it was like a $4 or $5 fee every time. And anyway, make a long story short, point is, had $7. We needed groceries, and it was like got to that point where I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. That feeling of really constantly scraping, being stressed out all the time about money. I just got sick of it, and that was like my turning point, like at that very moment. And that's when I just turned it on and went to it, and that was back in 2012. And so for me, ever since, it's been been an awesome ride. So.
Awesome. So what was your background at that time on your spiritual journey? Did you feel led? Was that something God you felt was putting on your heart to do? Or were you just kind of like, hey, I'm going to try this thing out? And did that relationship come later in the picture for you?
Yeah. God had always been, part of my life, even at that time. I mean, I was still very much, a Christian, very much into God and incorporating. But I will tell you what's really interesting, and you had talked about it kind of at the beginning about how people talked about leaving, God separate and business separate. And I remember when I was struggling, I had put together a blog, my initial blog, and one of my taglines, on my blog was bringing Christian ethics to network marketing and I actually got talking with somebody about, how to make my blog convert. And they said, you should really take that off your blog because you're going to turn off a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it was the worst advice I ever followed. And so I took it off and I changed it and did all that. And it wasn't until kind of later on after my business started really going, through the roof that I started to realize, you know what, man, I need to stop being so afraid to talk about God and talk about my faith. It's who I am. I'm not going to be afraid to speak about who I am and what I believe. Everybody else talks about what they believe, and everybody wants to get uppity about what they believe. Why can't I be proud to be a Christian and talk about that? And so I just kind of took on a new attitude after a while, and it's not to cram my beliefs down other people's throats, but hey, I'm not going to be afraid to talk about Jesus,
Yeah, I think
that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, it took me a minute to finally wake up, and because you kind of just try to be coachable and people tell you don't add God into the mix, don't add. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, that doesn't feel right, but I guess if that's what I'm supposed to do, you know, we tend to start to become like cattle where we're just kind of like being led down this path, and we stop thinking for ourselves. And, you know, it took me a while to bring it back and think, no, wait, that I want to do it my way, you know, and it's okay to add your own, and you're going to repel people no matter what. Right. So
no matter what you do. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, and I always tell people this, like, you're not trying to attract everybody. Okay. You're only trying to, you can't, you're just trying to attract a certain group of people that gel with who you are and what you do. I'm not trying to recruit 1 million people. I want to build a rabid audience of 1,000 people. And if they dig with what I jive with, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
So how did you know when you got started, like, why did you turn to blogging, or how did you know what strategies? I mean, I always think of you as the YouTuber, or, you know, the lead generator, like everybody kind of gets like their little niche of what they do. And how did you, because there's so many different ways to do things. And I just finally decided, you know what, I want to do this the way that makes sense for me and my personality and the talents God gave me. So how did you figure that part out?
You know, I think for me, what really happened was, like, when things took off for me, blogging was it was a lot easier to rank blog posts in Google many years ago when you could just spam like crazy. And I started out blogging, and me and my buddy at the time, we were both doing like blogging and video. We were combining blogging and video. So we'd do a blog post with a video, and we would SEO them. And well, what we found out is during the process of like SEOing our blog posts, our videos were ranking also. And so we started to get all this traffic coming in from videos and from, you know, our blog posts. And then what happened was, you know, Google always makes a shift at some point. And, you know, especially when you're trying to do SEO, SEO is like the most frustrating strategy in the world to me. And, but YouTube was like, they own, you know, Google owns YouTube. So they always favored YouTube. So when a shift happened and our blogs kind of tanked in the rankings, videos were still doing great. So we kind of shifted over to video and just really focused hard on video. And video was what really started, you know, exploding my business. And sure enough, you know, once things took off from there. So that's kind of how, in all reality, how I kind of became the video guy, is I just kind of fell into it. I mean, it wasn't like I woke up one day and said, hey, I'm going to be a video marketer guy. I just went to work, chose a strategy that I wanted to focus on, and put everything I had into it. And I think the biggest problem that most people have is they're trying to do too much. Like, they're trying to do too much. And I will say that, in my opinion, though, video is a must strategy. And it comes in many different forms. It comes in, you know, if you're nurturing an existing audience, or you're using it for lead generation, or you're using it for conversion purposes, or whatever it may be. But video is something you've got to weave throughout all you do. So if you're focused on Facebook, like, you should be doing videos on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, obviously you need to be focusing on video there. But really, it's used in whatever. So I think video is a really solid universal strategy that can be used in many different ways. That's why I like it. So.
That's interesting. Like, because I'll typically tell people, I just believe that certain people maybe aren't meant for the camera. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're better on the page, or they're better, like, they want to use their voice. So maybe a podcast would serve them.
That could be too.
So do you truly feel that if they're not doing video, that they're just going to tank? Or is it just important that they get their message out there in the best way? Because if you're doing video, but you look like you're going to pee your pants every time you get on a camera, is that really going to be effective, you know?
Well, you know, it really comes down to, it really depends on what the overall strategy is. I mean, if you're building a personal brand, I think video is a very important aspect. You know, if you're building like a corporate brand, that might be a different story, you know. But, you know, personal wise, like, especially in like the home business space where it's really a relational business, I think it helps a lot, you know, for people to see your face, hear who you are, and get to know you. I mean, a podcast obviously can be very effective too. They're at least hearing your voice and doing that. But I just know from my own personal experience and success, video has played, you know, such a massive role in how people perceive me. I just had a woman reach out to me today, and she's like, hey, I've been really researching, this, and I want to sign up. And I've just looked at so many people, and I just so gel with you and your message. And every time I see a video of you, you're just so genuine. And I'm like, there you go, video.
Yeah.
And it really just, it creates a bond with prospects who you don't even know. They just see you, and next thing you know, they're reaching out to you because they feel connected. So for me, on a personal level, it's not to say, I'm not going to say people can't be successful without it, but I can just tell you it's going to be a lot easier if you do figure that out. And here's what I say when people think, well, I'm not cut out for video. This is my typical response. Pretend when you're on the video. So if you're hanging out with all your friends and you guys are having a good time and you're talking, I mean, are you laughing and being yourself and just totally loose and relaxed? And most people will say, yeah, I have a good time. Just try being like that on the video. Just be yourself, talk, most people, even with dry personalities, brighten up, at times when they're laughing or having a good time. And that's kind of, you got to put yourself in that headspace a little bit to overcome that,
Yeah. And so obviously when you say the word video, I think a lot of people go to fear immediately. And I think fear is just a huge player in a lot of people's businesses where they're just trying to build, but they're building upon a fear. So it's holding them back. It's making them feel lack or not confident. Right. So what kind of shift, for me, it was a big thing to shift into faith and being okay with being uncomfortable, just knowing that I was, on a path that I knew God wanted me to be on, and being able to, step out of the boat and go in faith. So what are some of the things, did you ever have that in your business where you were just fearful, but how did you overcome that or shift into faith from that?
Well, see, this is where faith is a very important aspect. And see, for me, and, it really depends on the setting where I share this, but because we're being just so openly talking about our faith here, for me, like, most people don't want to do video because they're afraid of like the response people will give. Well, what if they're critical? What if they say I'm fat? Or what if they say I'm ugly? Or what if they say I'm a scammer? Or what if they say this? See, it's actually, I think, more of a protective mechanism to protect themselves from being hurt by a nasty comment. So one of the things that I always tell people, and I don't sugarcoat it, is you're going to get nasty comments. It's an absolute guarantee, 100%, you're never going to get around that. And so I teach my students, when you expect it, when it comes, it's not going to be as hard to take it. So what happens is, the reason I know personally that I can overcome that is because I'm very secure in who I am in Christ. Mm-hmm. Like, my identity is not in how other people view me. My identity is in Jesus. That's how I come at it. Now, if I'm, in a setting where, I can't necessarily, I'm not afraid to talk about Jesus, but I'm also not going to push it on other people. I want people to know where I come from. But for me, I'm just secure in my identity. I don't care in the long run about pleasing everybody. All I care about is, am I pleasing to him? If I am pleasing to him, then I got nothing to worry about. If I know in my heart that I'm not trying to deceive people, which I know that I'm not, and I'm always open to, constructive criticism, that's fine with me. Like, if I'm saying something I shouldn't, then I've got, or doing something I shouldn't, I've got the capacity to take a look at myself and go, maybe I shouldn't be saying that. Maybe I need to word that differently, or, maybe I need to not allude to something that's not true, or something like that. I'm totally fine with that. But, when it comes to being secure in who I am, that's why a lot of times the initial fear of being on video, it helps me, I don't worry about that so much. Now, one last thing before we move on is, if you have that fear of doing video, the best way to get over it is just start doing it. Like, do a video. I always tell people, like, I'm so afraid, like, just do a video on your own and don't even send it to anybody. Just do it. The first one, just do it yourself, just so you can, like, get over it a little bit. And then do a couple more. And then once you get a little more comfortable, then do one and send it to somebody you trust to give you some feedback. And then from there, you can just start increasing and getting better and better. So.
Yeah. Isn't it so funny how similar walking in faith is to building a business? Because as you had mentioned, you know, you're so secure in who you are, which I think essentially that has to happen first. If you're not secure in who you are, how are you going to be secure in anything else, in the products you sell, in anything else that you offer? You know, a lot of people are afraid to just put themselves out there from a business standpoint. But if you're not, you don't have that clarity about who you are, what you stand for, it makes it harder to go to that next step in figuring out.
And that's very, very important, especially as a Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to be confident in who you are. I mean, look, if Jesus says you're accepted and he loves you, that's all the real confirmation you need. Like that should be enough to stand and say, look, even if I get the haters, which it's a guarantee, my self-worth is not determined on how they view me or think what they think of me.
Yeah.
Our self-worth needs to be in, hey, I'm loved by him. I love him and he loves me. And that's what I'm secure in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the love of a father or a mother. You know, a kid always comes back to their mommy and daddy because they love their mommy and daddy. Yeah. They run to the arms of their parents because that's where the comfort is. It's the same way, in our spiritual life. So
that's awesome. Yeah. And I think too, one of the biggest things that confused me for many years was something never really fit right with the service and the products. And, you know, I fell into network marketing for many, many years, and it never really, it's like I was always introduced to companies and they had these products. And then I just kind of discovered that it was never really about a particular health product or a particular skincare product. And my gifts were more about just falling in love with the process of attraction marketing and teaching. You know, I struggled for so long with marketing that once I figured that out, it was like, oh, I could, like, people need to know about this. I need to tell people, like, this is how it's done. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people, when they get introduced to the online marketing world, it's typically through network marketing and through their neighbor Sally or Susie, and they're kind of pigeonholed directly into a specific product or a specific niche. And then they all of a sudden lose their identity and kind of become this guru that they never really interested in being in the first place. Right. Did you ever experience that, or how did you shift out of like really just starting to do what you loved versus what you felt forced to do to make money?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got going in like attraction marketing, like I was trying to be Brian Finale all the time. You know, I was literally like trying to be him, and I just was like, I was trying so hard to like be what I saw other people being, that I was kind of just losing my own identity, you know? And that's where, you know, I think that when I first got started online, like back in 2008, that was a period of my life where spiritually, I mean, I was a Christian, but I just was in a very, you know, bland place spiritually, you know? So for me, I hadn't really grasped on to like who my real identity was in Christ, you know? So I didn't have that real confidence. So I was trying to focus on what I thought I saw, you know, people like Brian Finale being, that I tried to be like that. And I think we just need to realize like we have value to give. And the best way for people to, you know, step away from trying to be the guru and just step into being you and sharing value from the point of view, like if you hop on a webinar and there's a lot of great principles that are shared, take some notes and then share on those principles. Hey, I was just on an awesome webinar. I learned some really, really cool things, and here's what I learned. And if you want more, click the link in the description and go check it out. Here's a free training for you. Something to that effect, you know? And it's really not difficult. I think we just conjure up stuff in our minds a lot of times. Like we feel like we have to be some specific certain way. Like, don't try to be Jen Johnson. There's only one Jen Johnson.
Right.
You know? And you know, only don't try to be Mark Harbert. Don't try to be Brian Finale. Don't try to be, you know, anybody else but you. And, you know, I think that's really the thing, because everybody has value to give. Everybody.
And I think a lot of times when people are coming into building a business online, they're having to discover that for the first time, because as kids, we imagine all these things and then we kind of let life happen. And then we kind of lose sight of who we are.
Yeah.
You know? And then now we have to figure that out, and not only figure it out, but figure out how to build a business around it. And that, you know, but we're so focused on doing everything else we're told to do that we're not really getting down to the root of getting clear on that.
Yeah.
So what were some of, you know, I mean, obviously as Christians, we're not exempt from the challenges and the trials of all of this, but did you see a big shift was there a time where you felt like you were kind of self-managing everything versus letting God kind of take the reins on it? And what was the shift that took place for you when you started to, you know, maybe God was out here, but you kind of brought him back into the center of everything? What did you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, you know, I think that, I don't know that there was necessarily a point where I had made that, you know, that shift. I know really it was probably in the last 4 years. I'd had some success before I really started saying to myself, you know, a huge part of my life is my spiritual life. I mean, and I don't want to be somebody in private and not be that person in public, you know? And so I just started incorporating, you know, the things that mattered to me in my blog posts and my videos and things like that. And I don't know, I just, you know, I think, you know, I kind of got to a point where, especially when I hit that wall, I stopped over-evaluating stuff. Over-evaluating things.
Yeah.
You know, like so many people get stuck, and I was in this place too. They get stuck at just like, we get stuck in this idea of perfection. Like, I can't do this until I learn this.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's such a trap. And like, I'm working with a client right now, and it's like, it's so great. You know, she's making all these mistakes and messing things up. And I'm like, that's exactly what you need to be doing. And I have a couple clients too that are doing things and they're just screwing things up, but they're moving forward. And that's the coolest thing, is because it really comes down to, you got to be willing to make mistakes to move forward. And I think many people are just so afraid to make a mistake. Like, I got to do it the right way. No, you don't. You just need to do it and then make corrections as you go. Like, I tell people, you know, I tell people what we do. Like, I used to be that kind of person, but I adopted the mentality of, I'm going to jump out of the airplane and learn how to put the parachute on and how it works on the way down.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, you know, the best way to learn is just get out there, start doing, and put that trust in God, you know, say, God, look, I'm not going to worry about it anymore. Look, I'm tired of worrying. I'm going to give it to you, and I'm just going to do what I know to do. And I'll let you, you know, correct me where I need to be corrected. Yeah.
Be messy. That's what I say. Just be messy, because you won't even know what's right until you're messy.
Yeah.
It's like a doctor going to school can read all the books and take all the tests, but until he cuts someone open and does some surgery, like, he ain't gonna know.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true.
Hopefully someone's there helping him, like a spotter.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's what it's for.
but it is. It's really true. And I think a lot of that is because many people come from a job mentality where, you know, in a job, you can't make a lot of mistakes. You need to know it. You need to do it and do your job well. And because too many mistakes can get you fired. This doesn't happen here. This is like encouraged to make mistakes here. Because making the mistakes are easy. You can recover from mistakes. It's just at a job, there's so much pressure on you to make sure you're doing it the right way, because time is money, and a business is really looking at the bottom line, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of times we're waiting for our boss or someone to tell us what to do. And so it doesn't work that way necessarily. Like, a lot of it's just being creative and playing and trying and tweaking, and have more freedom. And I think people aren't used to that freedom. So
and that's a great point too. People aren't used to that freedom. And there's so many things fighting against you when you step out of the employee world to the business world. Mm-hmm. It's a totally different deal. Yeah. You know, most people have the mentality, I work an hour, I get paid an hour. or I work 2 weeks and I get my biweekly salary. I get that guaranteed paycheck. It ain't going to happen here.
Yeah.
You may work 6 months to a year and not get paid a dime. You know what I mean? Everybody's different, but you only get paid for production. You don't get paid for thing. And that's the biggest point that many people miss.
Yeah. And so when you were in dire straits, you had, $7.49, you said?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that to your name. I know when I got laid off from my job, I just needed to make money. And one thing that drove me crazy would be people telling me, Jen, just first help people and first give and be generous. And I would get so annoyed because I'm like, I get it. I'll do that. But I need to make money right now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So did you ever have that? How did you shift out of that? If you had that mentality, I'm assuming at some point you were like, I just need to make money right now. What was the thought process for you, and how long did it really take you to start seeing some sort of result from being where you were?
This is I love that you said that at the beginning, like just help people. And that is a very common, understanding where people say, well, I just want to help people. We all want to help people. I've never met anybody that doesn't want to help people. I want to help people. But I also understand that some of the best ways to help people is to sell them something that will really benefit them, and see, sometimes people equate selling as a bad thing. So they say, well, and what people don't realize is sometimes in their mind, they're making a disconnect between helping people and actually getting money at the same time. Mm-hmm. And this is where most people haven't put the two together to realize, because nobody wants to be that used car salesman. You know what I mean? Everybody is deathly afraid of being perceived as that used car salesman. So don't be that used car salesman, but also understand that you can help people by making money. So here's what I suggest. And sometimes it takes a little bit to learn that balance, to learn the balance between free knowledge and or free helping against when is the right time to charge or have them sign up for something. So like if somebody reaches out to me and they start asking me a lot of questions, I just start pointing back to the things that I do. So, if they're asking me a specific question, maybe about a course that I've created, and they're asking me all these questions, and I may answer one or two, and then I'll go, look, everything that I talk about is laid out in my course. I can sit here and go back and forth with you, but it's not a good use of my time or yours. The best thing for you to be invest in the course, get the knowledge. It's laid out there step by step for you. Same thing could be as if you're promoting an affiliate program, like who knows, MLSP or something to that effect. Hey, look, you need the tools, you need the things, you need some of the training. All of it's under right here. I mean, I can point you in the right direction, and the goal is point people in the direction that's going to serve their needs. And if they sign up, guess what? You make a commission, and you can say, look, I spend a lot of time, or I do this with the people that are working with me in this. If you really want to learn how to get what you just talked about, sign up, work with me and my team, whatever. I'm more than willing to help you. And but you have to be very cognizant that I think that we all want to help people, but helping people doesn't mean doing everything for free either. It means finding that good balance between answering questions and then wasting your entire day answering somebody's every single question to find out they don't want to sign up for anything anyway.
Yeah. And also you've had a lot of success with affiliate marketing, which for some, if you're a network marketer, I read your blog post recently. You're like, essentially you're just a glorified affiliate marketer if you're in network marketing. And I love that you said that, because it's true. Network marketing is just a fraction of what your business could be, so maybe paint a bigger picture for people on, multiple streams of income and affiliate marketing and how to find products that would line up with the audience they want to serve.
So here's a big aha that some network marketers who might be watching this might realize. Got news for you. You don't really own a business if you're a network marketer. You're just an affiliate.
Yeah.
That's all you are. You And it's not to say that it's a bad thing. I mean, it's just saying you don't truly own a business. And a lot of people think that they own a business. No, you refer products to another company who handles everything else for you. The real business is your brand, like I could go and promote anything I want because the product is right here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People buy into me first before they buy anything else, which is why, like, if I have an audience who trusts me and I can send out an email to a bunch of people or my audience, and I may nail 50 or 60 sales from one email.
Mm-hmm.
Just because people trust me and I've built that brand around me. So if I refer something, no matter what it is, because I've built trust with my audience, they're going to trust me and buy it if it fits what I know that they need potentially. So, as far as, what was our question again? It's basically,
affiliate marketing, and just, what are some of where could they find products that would fall in line with what they're doing?
So, I mean, really, ultimately, there's products out there for any type of niche that you want. I mean, even like the network marketing niche, think about this for a second. So, one of the aspects I never thought about was many years ago, I was in a network marketing company and I loved the product and I loved everything that the company did. And the company had a $20 per month e-commerce website and back office and everything that you paid for, which is very common. And nobody made any commissions on that. That was just pure profit straight to the company. They did that. And, it wasn't until like a couple years later when somebody said, with affiliate marketing, imagine referring your team to a system that they could use to build whatever business they chose, and you actually made the commission off of that system, rather than it just going 100% to the company or whatever. And that's where I started to really think about how my business, there were so many facets to my business that I was ignoring. I was just so focused on my network marketing company that I missed out on all these other potential, income streams that help support running that one main income stream, which may be your network marketing company. I don't recommend having like two or three network marketing companies. Some people think that's a good idea. I think it's a very bad thing. If you have one major thing, but why can't you offer an affiliate product to a team member over here or somebody over here? And in turn, that brings in revenue to your business, which helps you build your main business.
Yes. That was a big aha for me too. Because I would have so many conversations with people and I'm like, man, they're already in a network marketing company. And then I would just walk away.
Yeah.
And like they need help. They're more than likely still struggling. So having something else to offer them makes it a big difference. And now what I'm kind of noticing with network marketing is the way that I like to build business. I'm a total farmer. Like I don't like to hunt and, cold prospect one-on-one. And as a farmer, as someone that's an attraction marketer, how well do you honestly think that molds with network marketing? Like, I think, gosh, I want my team to be learning email marketing and just the things that we do as an attraction marketer. I feel like there's this shift that just needs to be made to where people really get on board with not having to just do cold prospecting all the time.
Yeah. I mean, attraction marketing, ultimately is, people learn about you through content, and it's easier than ever today to create content. It's just easier than ever. Do a Facebook Live. That's a piece of content, and if you're doing that on a regular basis and you have people watching it, you're gonna start to attract people. People are going to, they're going to like what you're sharing, and that's going to make a difference. But one of the things that compelled me to learn about attraction marketing is because I hated chasing people. It was the worst, man. Like, I bring it up. You saw Diane, what she posted the other day.
Just painful.
It's just painful. And I would rather get my teeth pulled. I'm just like,
among other things.
Yeah, I know, right? What I posted on there is pretty funny because it's like I have no desire to like ever chase people. It's the worst feeling in the world. I think Jesus was like the ultimate attraction marketer.
Yes.
He just had people following everywhere, and it's like, what was he doing? He was really providing value. He was healing people. He was doing all these things, and he had what people wanted, and they just sought him out, and really that principle is very similar in business. If you have what people want, they're going to seek you out. You just have to be effective at sharing the message with people.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, the deal there. So.
And it's not a spectacle. It wasn't like Jesus was like, everybody gather around. I'm about to do some magic. I'm about to do this thing. It was just, you touch one person here, two people there, just, and it's all about, I love the parable of the sower, because you reap what you sow, whatever you're putting out, you're going to get back. And I think there's a lot of great parables that relate to business and building a business. So
yeah,
now,
absolutely. I agree.
I think that, was there ever, what were your challenges like? What were obviously there's challenges and struggles that we all go through. Were there times where you're like, you know what, I'm throwing in the towel. I just don't think I'm cut out for this. Was there ever like really big moments where God was testing you, building your character? He's far more interested in our character than our comfort. So
no, for me, everything just went absolutely perfect. No problem.
Unicorns and rainbows all the way.
Nailed right to it. It was, I wish that was the case. No, there's been, of course, absolutely. There's been plenty of times where I wanted to quit. It happens still now. I have, I've had, great success in my business, and I still now sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, we all go through challenges, I'll be a little vulnerable here. It was about a year and a half ago. I've had great success in my business, and I started thinking, you know what? I don't know if I've been paying enough taxes. and sure enough, I wasn't, oops. And so I ended up having to hire a tax guy to really get with the IRS and sort all of this out. And it's been a big headache. I'm still not done with it, and so a lot of people think hey, when you make more money, your problems are all going to go away. Oh no. Because the second you start making more money, guess what? You got to make sure you've got a tax pro taking care of you. You got a good accountant, a good bookkeeper. You've got all these things that real businesses need. And when you're a real business, that's the stuff you need as well. So I text back and forth with my tax guy almost weekly, and I wish I would have gotten on that sooner. So, when all this came about, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to quit. I'm tired of this. But it'd be the stupidest thing ever to do. You just learn from mistakes and you push forward. And, now I've got everything squared away, but, still there's some things we're ironing out with the IRS to get back on track with that. But, you just you learn from the mistakes, and, you can either let them take you out, or you can use them as an opportunity to get better. And we all go through that. It doesn't matter what level you're at. No matter what level you're at, that you'll always have challenges. It's not like I said, you make six figures and everything goes away. And nope, it just that's just the beginning.
Yeah. No, I had that experience last tax season.
Yeah.
Big stick, I owe what? Wait, what? And it's funny because, as your business is growing, you're growing, but if you're not really paying attention, you don't realize you doubled, you tripled your income. You're like, I did? I don't, and you don't necessarily feel it, because you now realize you're living a better lifestyle, and I have been able to afford more things, haven't I? Hindsight. And
Uncle Sam wants his cut.
Yeah.
So it's you got to make sure you're doing it. Yeah. So now, my tax guy, I pretty much pay him, a monthly bill and he's on my books, he is, we've, I don't know how else to say it, but he's basically gone up and down and roto-rooted our entire financial situation,
Yeah.
So he's awesome. I'm super grateful God put him on our path, because he has truly helped us get very, very clear on what we need to do and how we need to do to make sure that we're above board. And it's been a process of learning that. Yeah. And in the process, continuing to grow the business, keep it going and doing well. And it still does very well. If you look and you're like, oh, wow, I made $45,000 last month.
Yeah.
In revenue. Oh, cool. That's 60,000, whatever. but it's like, wow, am I putting enough aside, you know, to make sure? And so now it's like weekly. We're on a weekly thing. It's like, you know, we do that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's just learning. Everything is a learning experience. There's no getting around it. And so are there times when you want to quit? Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you've never really struck in me as the person that's like, I need the fancy cars and the big houses and all the hype. And I think it's easy, you know, being surrounded by it all the time and going to the events and hearing all the stories, and it's easy to get sucked into that. Yeah. And so, you know, how do you, I mean, you seem content. Like, what was your mission with your business? Was it to, you know, I'm going to be a 7-figure earner, or you just, you know, like you said, you were looking for 1,000 people that you could just really help, because that's truly what you need to create a 6-figure business. Yeah. So how do you stay out of the hype of it all and create that contentment for yourself?
Well, you know, and it's, you know, I tend to be kind of quiet about it, but I think the whole, you know, sell the lifestyle kind of crap, I can't stand that. I mean, I honestly, to me, it's very, I love to sell the idea of time freedom, because that is a real thing. And time freedom for everybody is different. Yeah. Like, somebody can have time freedom with a $4,000 per month. You know, hey, I don't have to work for anybody. I can make my own decisions. I can go to work, decide to work when I want. That's time freedom. But the whole, you know, bling, bling, look at my Bentley, you know, my Mercedes and my, you know, 24-room mansion and all that. And, you know, the average person will never, ever get that. And it's not to say that it's bad. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But to me, I just think that stuff is very, very, I don't know. I mean, do you want to own a bunch of stuff that owns you? I know some people that are extremely wealthy, but very poor. And they work their tails off just to support this image. And to me, I'm not interested in that. Like, my wife and I, we only have one car. We have a Honda CRV. We live in a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, 2-story, 2,500 square foot.
Did you just downsize?
Yeah, we just downsized.
Yeah.
We were in a 3,000 square foot house. We had like 5 room. We had a library, all this stuff. And we moved in this house just to rent it for 2 years to see if we liked living in a big house. And we didn't. I loved it. I mean, it was a nice house, but I was like, this is too much. I don't need all this. I don't want all this. Because there comes a point, and this is where I think a lot of people will have a shift. There's so much selling of the hype that the majority of people don't necessarily want all that. What people really want is they just want the time freedom to enjoy life the way they want. And for me, that's what it's really been about. Like, I don't want to own a boat, because think about this. If I own a boat, I could buy a $40,000 boat. And then if I don't have a place to store it, I've got to put it at the marina, which costs $400 a month. And then I might go out 1 or 2 times a month to enjoy it, or however often. Why not just spend $300 and go rent a boat when you feel like you want to go? You know what I'm saying? Like, I try to think.
Borrow your friend's boat.
Yeah, borrow your friend's boat. Go out and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Have fun that way. But I don't want all that stuff weighing me down just so I can say, hey, look at me. I'm a, you know, big shot. And some of those lessons I learned from some big top earners. Like, I, you know, remember one time hearing a top earner who was very frugal in his business. He made almost $1 million a year. And one of his team members quit because he said, I can't continue to, and one of his 6-figure earners said, I can't continue to work for you when you live in such a small house and you're not, you know, portraying. I mean, it was like, see ya, you know? Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's just so shallow-minded thinking, you know? And I just think the more you own, the more it owns you.
And the more work you have to do to keep up. For sure.
More work you got to have to maintain it. And I'm not saying it's bad. Everybody's got their own goals. But for me, that has never, ever been the focus. Maybe at one point, then I wised up real quick and realized that wasn't what I wanted. And so I just never been my focus. And I'm happier the less I have. my wife and I, we're even talking about when we buy a house, we're going to downsize from this one and we're going to get probably a smaller house, something, because we just don't want all the baggage.
Yeah. I totally agree. Practicing contentment, I think, has been a huge thing. And by just, even me and my husband, we've been fixing up our house. Like, we have this new wall right here, Hobby Lobby all the way. Right. Just like little things. You're like, gosh, I like my house. It makes it feel new, and exciting. So I think that's
and again, it's not to say you can't have nice things, and everybody's different. I just know for me personally, that's my take on it, and everybody's different, but I've just seen so many people that have tried to maintain an image, and I really could care less about the image. I just going to keep providing value, giving the marketplace what it wants, and that's what it wants and needs, and I'm going to build my business that way. I don't need to sell pie in the sky.
It's kind of like, what's your real brand? Like, if I saw a 50-year-old woman talking about Bentleys and this and that, like, how authentic is, it's not anything. Yeah. Most people that would be attracted to that type of person wouldn't relate to it. So you want to always be in line with that. So, and I understand why that's used a lot, and it's trying to get people to paint a bigger picture. And I think traveling is a great thing. It's a cool thing to talk about. When you want to travel more, I would love, what I mean? I love traveling. Mm-hmm. And that's cool because you can go to cool places. I mean, I look at so I'm on a kick right now, and I recommend this movie. It's called The Minimalists. Oh yeah. I've seen some YouTube videos.
Yeah, it's great, and these guys talk about minimalism. Yeah, what's that?
Have you tried it a little bit? Have you started to eliminate and start your bathroom?
When we moved from our house to this, we got rid of a ton of stuff.
Yeah,
and we're still. I already told my wife we got more we got to get rid of. We got to figure out how to get rid of it, but you can get it on Netflix called The Minimalists. I think The Minimalists or Minimalism or whatever. Yeah. But it's just these two guys that have kind of really worked on you see a lot of the tiny houses nowadays.
Yeah.
And there's people that are like, they don't want to spend and these big exorbitant houses. They want more experiences.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I'm all about. Like, give me the experiences. I'll take the experiences over the big house. I'm getting ready to go to a mastermind next month, and it's in a 17,000 square foot mansion. I'll enjoy my mansion while I'm there. Yeah. But it's not mine. I don't own it. I'm going to have to pay for it. I'm just going to go and enjoy it. And when I leave, I'm done. It's a cool
experience.
Like grandkids. Yeah, right. So, and I think if we can help more people get that vision that you can enjoy the finer things of life, but they don't have to own you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And so for a person that's just getting started and, as a Christian entrepreneur, walking in a faith and learning to hear God's impressions versus, your own feelings or your own things that you're trying to will or force or put together. Like, how do you know when it's God breathed or it's an idea that you've created and whether to pursue that or to shut it down and think, no, that's not the direction I need to be going?
Honestly, I think for me, when I've realized when things are not the direction God wants me to go in, things just don't click. Mm-hmm. It's like, no matter what I try, it doesn't come together. It's not, I'm doing all these things and it's not falling into place where it needs to be, there's in the past where we were looking to purchase a house and it just felt very forced. Things were not coming together. We had all these obstacles that kept coming up as to why it couldn't happen. And we could continue to work through them, but it was it's being so forced right now. It doesn't feel like it's really moving in the direction that we should go in. And it's maybe that's not where God wants us right now. So we backed off.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did. And now in hindsight, it's wow, that was God kind of pointing us in that direction. Mm-hmm. So, and then there's been times where things just fall right into place. Boom, 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 boom. When, it's the next step you take, the thing's right there and it just works smoothly. And I think for me, sometimes I've recognized that that's because that's the road God wants you going down.
Yeah.
And, and it's not this, when it comes to business, there are personal challenges that are going to push you and drive you. So, I don't want people to get mixed up in thinking, well, my business is hard. Maybe this isn't the reason, God wants me to go down this path. Well, maybe God wants you to go down that path, and he wants it to be hard because he wants to grow you.
Yeah.
So you got to be, it's all about, finding the balance. And one of my favorite books in the Bible is Proverbs. Like that's the book of wisdom, man.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just encourage everybody to read that book over and over and over and over again. Cause there's
one verse a day, one verse a day, you'll get through it in a month.
Yeah. It's really, really awesome. And, so you got to be willing to be able to learn to recognize when God is taking you in a direction, but also one of the things I've seen people do is use God as the excuse to quit. And that's not what God wants either. So it's always comes down to being honest with yourself and what your real intention is. Because if you're looking for an excuse, anyone will do. You'll find an excuse to quit. But sometimes God doesn't want you quitting. He wants you to stick with what you are doing, but he's trying to grow you through something. And you got to be willing to be honest that I want to quit, but I'm also not willing to make an excuse and use God as the justifier, because that drives me nuts too.
Yeah, I agree.
I actually had somebody one time said, man, God led me to you. He led me right to you. I knew I was supposed to work with you. And then 2 months later, God's telling me I need to go do this and I need to stop doing this. What do you mean? 2 months ago, you just told me God led you here,
You let me take away? What?
I'm sorry to tell you, God is not schizophrenic, okay? He doesn't change his mind every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's all about finding the wisdom and being real, true, and honest with what you're doing and your intentions,
Yeah, because even when it's hard, it would still, even when things were hard for me, I still had the burning desire to keep going.
Yeah.
Because I felt like God led me back here. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so you can't mistake hard or challenging. Those are the times that those are the testing times. Will you keep going? And God needs to mold you and get you to where you need to go. But like Mark said, I think that that's good. We experienced that with my husband. He was building out his own music school recently. There's just one thing after the other was just problem after problem after problem. And finally I'm like, enough's enough. This just doesn't feel right. It's being forced. And I think when you it's being forced, that's a great way to determine that.
And it's, that's just, you kind of come to that point where you realize it,
Yeah. And what is there a certain thing you do every day to get alone, be alone with God, or what's kind of I know you talk throughout the day, but is there a morning routine that you have, or?
Yeah. Generally sometimes every morning's different, but a lot of times we get up, we do our thing, we get ready, take my daughter to school. And then when I come home, I go out on a walk, I go for a walk and, I'll listen to maybe a teaching from a minister or something. Sometimes I'll just come in my office, my chair right back there. I love that chair. And I sit there and I pull another chair over and I prop my feet up and I listen to some praise music, or I just start my day and try and get in that space. And every day it's a little different, but I think one of the, for a Christian, it's important to, a lot of people do meditation. And meditation on God is really the best type of meditation. I was going to say medication, but it could be that too. But meditation on what's really cool is, for those that are Christians, go to YouTube and just type in Christian meditation. And you'll see all these different kinds of videos that people have done where it's really soft music and it puts you in a peaceful state of mind, and they're reading Bible verses and it helps to relax yourself and put the positive things of God into your head, and I think that's how you can really start to, transform the way you think of yourself and how God views you, and there's so much great stuff out there, but meditation is a great, great thing, but meditation in God, I think, is the best, and meditation really, it's not a weird, thing getting into this thing. It's just quieting your mind down. Like that's meditation. Just quiet down, get away from the kids, get away from the hustle and bustle of the day, quiet down, say some prayers, just be silent. God says that, you're like a mom of two. You're like, yes.
Hey, my family knows. Don't talk to me until I've had coffee and Jesus. Okay. Like, yeah. No, we can't have any discussions.
but really, it's just get quiet. Like, in the Bible, it says that he's a still small voice. Well, guess what? You can't hear the still small voice if you got noise. Yes. And it's just getting quiet, like really getting peaceful. And that's really what meditation is. Yeah. It's not like some hooky pooky thing.
There's a great book by Mark Batterson that I'm reading right now called Whisper, How to Hear the Voice of God, because he literally does whisper. And if you can't get in that space and just be quiet and just say, speak to me, your servant is listening, like you're not going to hear it. And you're just going to be self-controlling and worrying. And were you a big worrier at one point?
Oh, yeah. I mean, believe me, there's certain things sometimes I start to worry and I'm like, I ain't got it in me, God. You handle it. You know like what? I ain't going to worry about
it. Outsourcing ever, right?
It's like
it's free.
God, it's like, God, I'll do my part. Just tell me what I need to do. But the rest of it, it's on you, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all you, man. Like, cause I'm over it. I'm really to that age now where it's like, worrying does me no good. Like, I just
makes you older.
It makes me older. When I turned 40, all this gray popped up here and I was like, oh yeah, I got to stop that.
Yeah. Yeah. Looks good on you. Looks a good idea.
I got a little over here too. So
it makes you wise. It's like your wise hairs.
Right. Exactly.
Well, Mark, this has been awesome. And I just totally admire. You've always been someone that I've looked up to, and I've learned a lot from you in your mastermind. And I just think you're a chill dude that you're easy to connect with. And so I know you have a special free gift for everybody over at markharbert.com/checklist. That is a YouTube checklist.
Yeah, it's basically a YouTube checklist that, one of my main strategies has always been YouTube. I love YouTube. It's great stuff. Doing a lot of stuff right now with YouTube ads. So, I'm working on that right now. But, it's a checklist that when you're uploading videos to YouTube, if you really want to upload them the right way, and the checklist will certainly help you. Yeah, markharbert.com/checklist. Very easy. And, it's you'll get value from it. YouTube is an amazing strategy. Been around for a long time, and it'll be around for many more years too. So
awesome. I know I've been diving deeper into YouTube and have like real YouTube videos going up on YouTube instead of like just throwing whatever up there. And I
think there's a big shift going on. I mean, Facebook is always going to be a monster. There's no doubt about it. But I also see a lot of people really shifting to YouTube to really utilize it. For many years, it's been Facebook, and I'm still using Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
And it's still big in its own right, and it always will be. But YouTube is really highly untapped right now. I think more people need to really dig into it. So
absolutely. Well, buddy, I appreciate you. You guys definitely go check out Mark. You can check out his blog at markharbert.com. And I appreciate you so much. I look forward to everybody hearing this, and I'll be talking to you soon, friend.
See you, Jen.
See you guys later.